The book starts when Christopher finds Wellington, a dog belonging to Mrs. Shears' dad. We get in touch with Christopher. We met a brilliant boy with methods of thinking differently. Mrs. Shears looked at Christopher with her dog and started screaming at him. Christopher tells us that we will be reading a murder story novel, and police officers arrive. They start asking fast questions to Christopher, who is the maximum suspect in the murder. Christopher got desperate and hits the police officer. The police officer arrests him, and Christopher's fathers arrive at the station, really angry with Christopher. That's the first one.
Then, in the chapter 43 to the 61, Christopher remembered when his mom did. His dad told Christian that her mom had a heart attack. 3 red cards in a row equal a good day, 5 equal a super good day, 4 yellow cards in a row makes a black day. On the black days, Christian does not speak and sit alone at lunch, and the order of things make Christopher feel safe. Christopher set out the investigation of Wellington murder, and Christopher not accept the idea that the heaven exists.
Okay, so the next chapter is the chapter to the 67 to the 73, and as Christopher gets little useful information about the neighbors about the murder, of course. He finds a key for the murder of Wellington. Mrs. Shears would often cook dinner for Christopher and his dad, and sometimes they even keep the night in the house. Also, we see Christopher create an awkward story between Christopher's fathers and Mrs. Shears. Since the father prohibited Christopher to continue asking about Wellington, this creates a new problem for him because he don't know if he wants to continue with the murder investigation or to just be with his dad side and don't do anything and keep like that.
Well, then in the chapters 97 to the 101, Christopher searched for information about Wellington's murder. It turns up information about his own family. Alexander reveals to Christopher that Mrs. Shears and Christopher's mother had an affair. The revelation puts father angry, and perhaps the earlier incident when Christopher found his father crying after they came back from the police station as well. Christopher's father evidently knew about the affair between Christopher's mother and Senior Christopher. On the other hand, apparently had no initiative. Christopher set out to uncover the person who committed one crime, but instead discovered the truth about his parents and his father's reason for disliking ex-Mr. Shears.
Okay, then we have the chapter 103 and 109. Here he spends the time observing clouds that look like fish scales and sand dunes and spectrals that aliens need not to look like anything found on Earth. He relates the plot of The Hound of the Baskervilles, praising its expert utilize red herrings. Christopher's description of a red herring applies that he recognized Mrs. Shears as red herring in the plot of the own murder mystery. Christopher notes that in The Hound of the Baskervilles, even the ghostly hound turns out to be a dog served in glow-in-dark paint. In chapter 109, he explains to Soviet that mother is dead and Mrs. Shears were one of the reasons why his father had fights and everything.
Well, then we have the chapters 113 to the 137. And well, although the father never explicitly says so, he seems to have thought that Christopher would drop the investigation so that Christopher wouldn't know. We're lucky to see he doesn't seem to have cared as much about Christopher's digging up other people's stuff as he did about Christopher digging up secrets he was keeping himself, indicating that if that secret comes out, it will have serious consequences. The narration further hints that Christopher's father may have left him unconscious during their fight, revealing an aggressive side of Christopher's father that we only seen a glimpse of as far.
Okay, then we have the chapter 139 to 151. In these chapters, Christopher discovers of the letter from Mother, adds a dramatic twist to the plot, and reveals another secret of that keep from Christopher. Which means that in this chapter, it's when we figure out a lot of things that we didn't know about Christopher's father. The letter initially confused Christopher because it contains facts about Mother's life working at a factory in London. Although to Christopher, knowledge Mother had never worked at a factory or living in London, because in the time that he spent with her, she didn't work in a factory or even live in London. The postmark date and the letter to server months ago after Mom is supposed to be dead, so which means that it could possibly be like alive her mother. We also see that to question how this scenario could have occurred, he wonders if perhaps the letter was in the wrong envelope. And he even speculates that somehow, comically, that it will be a letter to a different Christopher from that another Christopher mother. The reaction creates an irony in which the reader, unlike Christopher, realizes that the letter suggests Mother never died at all. And that father has likely been lying about this fact as well to Christopher, obviously. Before Christopher considers the possibility, however, he decides to not jump in conclusion and don't make like any kind of ideas because he can mess things up. So, however, he decides to, without information, investigate a little bit more, and implying that he will soon undertake a new investigation about her mom.
Well, then in chapters 157 to 163, the only time narrated by someone other than Christopher's, Mom's letter gives the reader a glimpse of Mom's character and effect by Christopher's portrayal. Mother in particular seems to blame herself for some of Christopher's behavior, as she observes Christopher acting calmer when he is with Dad and writes that Christopher and Dad will be better off without her. She also openly expressed her guilt for giving up on Christopher, and when she hears nothing from Christopher, she assumes that Christopher is still upset enough with her to write. Apparently, he doesn't know that Christopher didn't receive his letter.
So that in this chapter tells us, like, first of all, Christopher didn't know that her mom is still alive in this case, because actually in this chapter they confirm us that her mom is alive because it's narrated by like other person than Christopher. They also her mom think that Christopher is upset with her because he went off of the country and everything, and she haven't heard about Christopher at all.
But Christopher didn't receive the letter, so well,
yeah, it's like
everything was messed up.
Yeah, it's like a really twist thing here. Then we have the chapter 167 to 179, and it's ones that admits to killing Wellington, because now we have the chapter where his dad admit that he was the one that killed Wellington. The novel finally resolved the initial mystery that sparked the plot and consequently connects Wellington murder to the tangle of collaborations that Christopher Guarantee uncovered between his parent and Mrs. Shears. Over the course of the novel, Christopher's investigation into Wellington that has repeatedly revealed more secret information about his mom and dad than about Wellington, making this investigation into Wellington murder more than an investigation of this dog, even though of his family. Also, it says here the two investigations eventually coverage, as Christopher's discovery of Mom's letter also leads Dad to come on terms with killing Wellington. At this point, the mystery of Wellington's death, which provides driving force for the novel's early chapters, has become the least fundamental enigma that the chronic of the secret collaboration between Mom and Mrs. Shears.
Well, then in chapters 221 to 229, as Christopher never had traveled alone before this trip, taking the train to London alone was a daunting task. Many possibilities. The journey optimized everything Christopher finds incontrovertible of the planet. And well, by facing these challenges, Christopher proves to himself that he can overcome any failure on his own. While the experience of walking through a subway station and getting on the right train may be common for many people, for Christopher, this task represents a fundamental challenge, mainly due to his condition and his inexperience with this gen of location, the huge crowds and influx of information Christopher experienced become deadly in Christopher's mind. With Christopher even stating that he does not remember the specific details of the Malaysian announcement he saw on the station, as he thought he was going to die. The novel communicates this experience to the reader through a sequence of breathless, rushed sentences that reflect Christopher's discomfort and confusion, such as, "And the sweat ran down my face from under my hair, and my man, not man, but differently, like a dog once, injured his leg, and I heard the noise, but at first I didn't realize it was me." The part even includes a potentially life-threatening situation in which Christopher climbs on the railroad tracks to relieve Toby and narrowly avoids being hit by a railroad.
Then we have the final chapter, that is the 233, in which here now we said that Christopher goes to a trip to London to find her mom because of all the lies that his dad has tell him. So and this part also says that Christopher actually was scared to death of moving, because we don't have to forget that Christopher, he thinks different from everyone, so he has different ways of organizing things. So when something don't go the way he wants to, he get a little bit panic and shocked. And in the chapter 233, we see Christopher now lives with his mother and must adjust to life in a new places without a father. We also see, because they are both Christopher's mom and dad, face their own challenges with this new way Christopher is featured through their lives. Mom has a particularly hard time adjusting to Christopher reappearing in her story due to Christopher's difficult behavior, such as what I told you, that is a different way of thinking, organizing things, and stuff like that. Such as one of the things he freaked out, it's the story and Mom had to take him home. Christopher gets a new puppy to make up for Toby's death by leading by example, and his mother begins to settle in with a new job, a new apartment, and begins seeking help from her depression. So in this chapter we see the end of the story, where we see a Christopher with his mom trying to adjust their new life and just supporting each other, and you see mom that it's going to be they're gonna go to therapy, to depression, and all these situations to adjustment.
Well, finally, we found important to mention that Christopher reveals his incapacity to sustain strong emotional ties and his desire for order in his emotional response to his mother's death. Christopher focuses on the commonplace elements of time and place when narrating his mom's death, omitting any mention of his own emotional reactions to the tragedy. He makes no mention of her subsequent absence from the household or the impact it had on him and father.
Now, this is the analysis of the chapters as the pieces. So the other one, it's how that Christopher clearly adores his mother, obviously, as indicates that his engineers to visit her in the hospital and bring her food. She completely vanished from his life when she died, obviously. Christopher rearranged his life without her in the cup of his grief. His writing, on the other hand, reveals how much he still thinks about her, as 3 of the 5 chapters in these sections are developed to discussing her death.